Commission is gratefully located on the traditional unceded territory of the Stalo people. Live from Studio C, welcome to Creative Third Thursdays. Man, you guys are a great studio audience. So patient, so accepting. So we're building a community of creatives right here in Chilliwack. And Creative Third Thursdays is a monthly event at Co-work Chilliwack. And we record them here in this beautiful Studio C. So please note, if you're at home watching, the Creative Third Thursdays new start time is 5 o'clock. And you can get here early as you can for mingling, meeting with other creatives, maybe have a couple of refreshments before attending our live recording session for our YouTube video as we feature a creative. And we're getting a great group of people started. We have a mixture of experience, and we have established creatives, and we have younger developing creatives, and they all come at various times, and all are welcome. So put it on your calendar, the third Thursday of the month, Creative Third Thursdays. So you can keep up to date on what we do with the Creative Commission. I just walked right on that woo. Here's me asking the studio audience to participate. Somebody woos, and I walked on it. So anyway, you can keep up to date with everything that the Creative Commission is doing with the hashtag Creative Chilliwack. So we want to thank our hosts here at Co-work Chilliwack. The amazing Studio C is being run this afternoon by Tim McAlpine. There he is. So let's meet our creative this month.
Along with the social aspect of Creative Third Thursdays with our famous pre-interview mingle with a choice of alcoholic, non-alcoholic beer or soft drinks, and our post-interview get-together, we introduce a feature creative. Jessica Peters began her journalism career in 1999 at the Chilliwack Progress after completing the journalism program at Kwantlen College University. Over her career, she's worked at several black press newspapers in the eastern Fraser Valley and is currently the editor at the Progress. In 2023, Jessica was recognized for feature and column writing by the BC and Yukon Community News Media Association. She's also an invasive-stage cancer survivor, public speaker, and patient advocate focused on women's health and cancer screening, and spends most of her free time running or exploring. She's currently working on her first book. Please welcome Chilliwack creative, Jessica Peters.
Thank you for coming.
So nice to
Have
be
a seat.
here.
There you go. All right. So here we are.
Here we are.
I don't know. Some of the people in the audience might have been here last time. We had last Creative Third Thursday. We had a guest that was unable to attend, and so we kind of winged it. And Jess was so good at coming up to the stage and subjecting herself to some unprepared questions.
I was very unprepared.
So let's just talk a little bit to start with about that video we just watched. And I tried to capture the essence of what it is to be the editor of a newspaper. But when we were doing that shot, you did mention to me that sometimes when news happens, like we're talking some serious event, I compared it to something I was involved in back in the 80s with radio. A major storm went through, and we were like a lifeline. We were really important to the community. Mm-hmm. And you have your team of people that when something happens like that, you guys roll. And I wondered if you have any examples of something where that happened.
Oh, there's so many examples, especially lately with the, the floods and fires and everything that we've been going through here in the Lower Mainland and BC in general. But one story that, when we were talking earlier today, that came to my mind was the fire at the lumberyard on Vedder just before Christmas a few years ago.
Oh yeah. The lumberyard.
The lumberyard.
Windsor plywood. That's
Windsor
it. Thank
plywood.
you.
So devastating fire.
Yeah.
But huge news and of huge importance to our readers in the community, because not only is that a really important business in town, but that also creates immediate public safety issues, right? Mm-hmm. So that happened about hour 2 of our Christmas party. So we were having a Christmas party in the newsroom. no adult beverage Christmas party, but needless to say, we were all relaxed and we'd all, had a lot of turkey and we were in the middle of a game. And then all of a sudden we heard the fire scanners going off like crazy. And all of our phones started going off, people texting us, all of our friends, give us all our tips, saying, there's a massive fire. So just like that, it was just seconds of realizing something's gone on. The party was over, and nobody cares, right? Because this is what we do. So we all hustled off into the newsroom. The editor at the time said, I'll desk, and desking is just sort of being the person at the desk while everybody else feeds that person information. So somebody might be getting, listening to the scanner. Somebody might be getting images. Somebody's getting the words together. Somebody's fact checking. We put it all together as quickly as possible so that we can get it out to the public.
So you got your digital newspaper, basically.
And we are a digital newspaper. We have, every mode of social media that we are able to share our information on. We have a 10-minute breaking news protocol. So within 10 minutes of hearing that scanner go off, we need to have images fact-checked, a story written, even if it's just a basic story saying more to come. We have to have it tweeted out and shared on Meta and shared out to all of the various groups that are in Chilliwack.
What does that feel like when you do that? Like, you get a bit of a,
it's a blur.
This is why we're here kind of thing.
Yeah. It is why we're there, and it's exciting for us, and it's an adrenaline rush. But it's not. Some people sometimes confuse it with, getting excited about somebody else's tragedy, but that's not it. We just know that we're very good at getting that story across, and we know our roles in the community, and we know how to get that information, and we know how important it is to the community and that they're looking to us. So it's a real thrill to get that done and get it executed really, really quickly and get it out there and then get back to the party.
Well, that's a major route too, right through Chilliwack where that fire took place.
Yeah, it was devastating.
Yeah.
Devastating. So, and when there are so many questions, even though sometimes a story might look like it's missing information, it's not because we're not trying to get it. It's we know everything that needs to be in there. We know all of the questions that people are going to be asking, and we're working really hard to put it up there. As much as we need to get it up there fast, we also need to make sure that every single word, image, every way that it can be presented is correct. So that's where my role now comes in, from being a reporter for 20-something years, and now I'm the editor. It's my job to make sure that everything that's coming to me through my desk and funneling out to the community is correct. So I am now head fact checker, so to speak.
So you've like you said, started in like the 90s, or the end of the 90s. So what got you started on a career in print media? And now digital media, obviously.
Yeah, so digital media didn't even really exist in 1999 when I started with the Progress. But I started as a writer as soon as I could read. And I started writing little, everything. And I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a poet. I wanted to write movies. I wanted to go work for Disney. I wanted to go and join the Army and be a field correspondent. I wanted to be a spy. I wanted to do all of the things, and I still want to do a lot of those things. But so working in journalism came to me because one of my teachers in college or in high school sort of identified in me that I had passion for politics and women's issues and history, and I was really good at getting questions, getting information out of people, and that was really quick study and a good writer. So I went to school in a very small community, and she created a Journalism 12 program for me. So I think the class was maybe 5 or 6 of us, but it was for me. And she got me an internship with the RCMP. So I wrote them a whole newsletter over a course of a month. And so that kind of, I didn't really think about it until she kind of created that for me. And then that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
An influential teacher.
I have nothing but respect for teachers.
Yeah.
She was amazing, and she was also my socials teacher. So that's how she kind of knew my passion for politics.
And you've been awarded for your work. So recently?
Yes, quite recently.
Quite recently, yeah. You were the, let's see, I got to read it off my card here so that I don't forget what. The BC and Yukon Community News Media Association, you were recognized for feature and column writing.
Yeah.
So what is feature?
Two separate awards.
So column writing is a different thing than feature writing, right?
So for the feature writing is just when a reporter goes beyond the news and writes something that's maybe a little more flowery or a little more in depth and just tells more of a wider breadth of a story. So when most recently before this role here back at the Progress, I was working briefly, maybe 2 or 3 years at the Abbotsford News with their team there. And so, of course, one of my jobs was to cover the flooding in South Sumas. And when we got to the 1-year mark and we were creating this big publication saying like, where is Abbotsford after this massive event, I decided I would want to go to a dairy farm and because they were hit so hard. So I went to the hardest hit dairy farm. And I spoke with the farmer there, and one of the cows that I met on that trip was quite pregnant. And the farmer said, well, she could have this cow any minute. And as I was interviewing him, she did. And she was one of the cows that was saved in the heroic efforts during the flooding. And she was one of the last cows that was put onto a truck before they weren't able to save anymore. And so I got to watch her have a calf. And I drove away from there so happy. I have 3 adult sons. And on my way back from South Sumas to the Abbotsford News office, which is now downtown Abbotsford, I called each of them. And because they grew up watching Mom, the journalist, and they understand journalism. And I said, you guys, you're not going to believe this. I just watched one of the saved calves have her own calf at the hardest hit farm in Abbotsford. And I was just beaming. I'm like, I'm going to win an award for this. And it was kind of just like a joke, right? And, but, it was a really interesting, compelling story, and he was a very good interview and great photos and video. And sure enough, packaged it all together, spent quite a lot longer on it than I would on a normal story. And sent it away for all the awards, and I've actually won a CCNA as well for it, the Canadian Community Newspaper Association Award. I think I came in 2nd or 3rd, but we still call that winning. So there was that award, and of course that's a lot different than just picking up the phone and calling someone and writing the story, right? It's a little more in depth. It's got history, and you've got looking forward, and you've got the rain coming down as a character in the story. It's more. Mm-hmm. And then in my column writing, I am able to be more like myself, Jessica, not so much the reporter. And I've been able to share a lot of, insights in my life through the years as a columnist. And I never really thought to send them away for the awards because I thought, I don't know. Nobody wants to read this. I just writing it because my editor's asking me to. And then the last couple of years, I've I'm getting older, a little long in the tooth, and I've got more wisdom to share. And so I sent them away, and I won. So that felt really good. Both of them felt really good. I've won awards before, but it was nice to win 2 in 1 year, and yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah. They're judged by our peers, and so that makes it special. And actually, we call them the Ma Murrays, named after Ma Murray, who was a famous journalist, a female journalist in BC. And the Ma Murrays are happening again on Saturday, so it's good timing that we're talking about it because I'm going there to represent the Progress because we're up for excellence again this year.
So how does someone move from reporter to editor of a paper? What's that process like?
Well, do you remember Penny Lett?
Yes.
Yes, beloved Penny Lett. When I started at the Chilliwack Progress in 1999, she took me under her wing and she said, Jessica, the way you are going to move up through this company is by doing what they ask. And it seems really, really simplistic, right? But if any of you have trained people or brought people up and you have this sort of attitude where people are not willing to do what you ask them, or they do it in such a way that you're not going to ask them again, I was encouraged to do the stories I didn't really want to do and to learn how to do them and get what I could out of them. And I've just always kind of said yes. So when there's something that needs to be done, I say yes. If they need me in Hope, I go to Hope. If they need me in a fire, I go to the fire. Not to put myself in any sort of risk or anything, but putting yourself out there. And if there's any, young journalists or young people watching or somebody looking to, make a difference in their workplace, don't be afraid to step your game up a little bit and put yourself into more uncomfortable situations and be willing to be the person to go out and do the thing.
Yeah,
because you'd be surprised how many people won't go do the thing.
I think for most of creative pursuits too, people say getting out of the box or leaning into it, or I like to look at it as find the opportunities.
Yes.
Where are the opportunities in the field that I'm working? And that's what
So
similar kind of thing, right?
So I used to call myself jokingly the mop, because I would just mop up whatever anybody else wasn't doing. But there's really nothing wrong with that. And I've learned so many different sides of the business, from the importance of ad sales. I've delivered papers with my kids. I've been an editor of a one-person newsroom, and I have been the newbie in a large, bustling newsroom. And the newbie role was only just 3 years ago. I was thrown into the Abbotsford News, which is our flagship paper for the Lower Mainland, and being the new person there and having to prove myself again in my 40s, that was humbling. And so you just have to, you move forward with that and push yourself a little further.
Yeah. So you alluded to what the job entails these days. In a big event like what we discussed earlier, you're the person taking in the information and putting it into the system. Can you talk a little bit more about what the duties of the editor of a paper like yours is?
Basically, it's your name that's on the paper. So if somebody is upset with something that we've run,
they're looking for the editor.
They're looking for me. They're not looking for the reporter, nor should they. Really, they should come to me first and discuss it. And I need to understand the decision that went into a story going into the paper. You can't be a passive editor. You can't just trust everybody to do everything. Even people that have worked there for, a long time will potentially make mistakes, and I have to have their back. So the only way I can do that is to fully understand every story in the paper. So I work with them on developing stories, working with the reporters developing stories. Right now I'm training our newest reporter, Stefan Luciani. He's come to us from TSN in Ontario, and he's just moved. So if you get a chance to meet him, and you probably will, because he's gone out introducing himself to the entire community already. He's doing a wonderful job. He is wonderful. So, so I'm training. I'm working on my own story development. There's certain things that I like to keep tabs on, including school board. So I'm still writing a little bit. I'm also working with some of our clients. So I'll go out to business meetings with our publisher and work on partnerships that we have that are important to us. Some of those people are in this room. And so it's a wide breadth of things that people might not think of, but a lot of it is mostly just keeping everybody focused and making sure that our paper every week is the best we can be.
So in the promotion for this, having you come here today, we are looking for some tips for the creative community and how the creative community can benefit from a relationship with local media. Yeah. And so that's kind of what this question is like. Yeah. What can we do about the products that we're creating or the events that we're putting on that will get us coverage in a paper like that?
Yeah, and when you asked me that last month, I kind of was thrown off a little bit, and I thought, I don't know, but I should know this answer. Why don't I know this answer? So as I've alluded to already, I'm a storyteller. Everybody in the newsroom is a storyteller. We are creative people. We consider ourselves creative. So for number one, a creative can come to the newsroom and feel one with us. We understand you, we get you, we know how hard it is to create something and then also market it. So when you're coming as a creative to the newspaper, you're not coming, you're wearing a different hat. You're not in your studio, you're not on the stage, you're doing something uncomfortable that you're not used to. And to be a salesperson is a whole other, or a promoter is a whole other talent. And we can't all do all things. So what we can do at the newspaper for people who are creatives or people who have a creative product to sell, like to sell to the community or to promote or to talk about or something exciting going on, we do that in a way that is, we try to make it so easy for people. So, you just give us the rough information and we can polish it all up for you so you can go off and do your thing. So you give us all the information and just work with us a little bit and we can polish that up into a nice little stone. Before in the meet and greet, I was talking to somebody about how we take information and we spit it out and we're called information synthesizers. So that's what we kind of do for people. We take all that information and we package it up and we put it out to people, and so that you can focus on your own dreams and goals. And when it comes to the newsroom, it's free, right?
Yeah.
This is a service that we provide to our community because we know how valuable that is.
So press release?
Press releases, oh my goodness. I don't know what has happened to the press release. We love them and we are not getting them anymore. Everybody thinks they can just put a post or maybe 20 different posts throughout 2 weeks on Facebook and that everybody's going to magically notice. And it doesn't work like that. There are still so many people reading the newspaper coming to us. We get calls all the time saying, why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? Well, we didn't know. Nobody told us. There's this wonderful thing happening just down the street. We didn't know. We don't have a bat signal. So the best thing anybody can do is just, at the very least, pick up the phone, call the newsroom, and tell us what's happening so that we can at least look for the information. The other thing is to definitely, yes, make a press release. Remember in the old days, we had EPKs, the electronic press kits, and then before that, the press kit. We're in the middle of moving. So right now we're going through all the detritus of years and years of people giving us stuff. And we have all of these independent CDs that I've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. And we've just got almost barrels of them especially in the 90s. It was really popular to give a whole press kit. And we'd get all these press kits and we'd argue and no, I like violin. No, I like heavy rock. I like this. I like that. And so we just all get portioned out and then someone would write a review because we don't write reviews anymore, but we still have this, every now and then somebody will give these things to us and we'll go, oh, it's just like the old days. But there's a reason for it. It shows the newspaper, for one, that you're serious about your project. So if you want to be taken seriously by the media, then you do need to step forward a little bit and do that little extra bit of work. It's not difficult. If you don't know how to do it, you can call us and we'll tell you how to do it. Right? Nobody's going to laugh at you. There's no wrong way to connect with us as long as you're calling us and we'll tell you exactly how to. Well, we can walk you through it. We talk about this all the time. Why don't people just call us and ask? So yeah, that's definitely a thing that can be done. And also just making sure that your messaging is consistent and strong and that you have good visuals. Hiring a photographer is a really good idea if you have something that's very visual. Reinvest in the creative world in Chilliwack and the creative people around you. And go to things like this and just, connect with people and you give that out and it comes back to you, I think. So lots of times the most successful people we see are people who are partnering with other artists or creative types.
So we mentioned in the introduction too that you are writing a book. Is
I
it too
am.
early to talk about that book yet? Have you got some? What would you like to say about the book project? Because I know people kind of wait till they've got a release, right? So it might be too early.
I'm working so hard on this book.
How long have you been working on it?
My whole life. It's a memoir. So
Okay.
No. I think we were going to talk a little bit about some of the things that I've gone through in my life, maybe in a little bit. But I am writing a memoir, and it would be considered a journalistic memoir. So it's not going to be solely about me, but it is thematic. And so the theme is going to be survivorship. As you mentioned, I am a cancer survivor. I'm a cancer survivor. My mom was diagnosed with cancer just a few months before I was. She was told to pack her stuff and go home and be prepared to say goodbye. She's still working full time and wondering why she didn't save some more money at the beginning. When they tell you you're dying, you kind of go out and buy yourself nice things. But anyway, she's alive. She's beat cancer. In that time, within just a few days of her diagnosis, my youngest brother died of an overdose. A year and a half after he died, another brother died of overdose. And at that time, my third brother, I have three brothers, confessed that he is also struggling with something similar. So, and now he is a drug and alcohol counselor and an intake worker for social housing. So we're a strong family of survivors who've been through a lot, and we have a lot of shared knowledge, and some of my book will be about what we've learned as a family and what I've learned, on my own. But other things will be checking in with people I've interviewed over my 25-year career, people who didn't think they were going to survive something, and checking with them and looking back and getting those nuggets of wisdom from them, and sort of going back and forth between my career and what I've learned and what these people have learned, kind of a retrospective on survival.
So the reader will come away.
I can't tell you where to buy it because it doesn't exist, but it's coming.
So the reader will be empowered with some stories that are uplifting. Then is that the idea?
Yeah, I really do hope to. I hope to show people that even in the darkest times, there's hope, and that. You've survived everything so far, is the saying, right? You've survived everything that's happened to you so far. And I just think it's one of those universal stories and truths that people do get a lot from. And when I say 10 years ago, I couldn't write this because I didn't have the fortitude and understand that it wasn't actually an egotistical thing to write a memoir. It doesn't feel like it felt that way 10 years ago, and I wanted to do this. And now I realize that things like this are what helped me get through. Mm. So why wouldn't I also throw my story into the pile? So, and also people have reached out to me in some of my advocacy role and thanked me for the work. So
it's too early to put a date on it, but ballpark?
Oh, I had a really good weekend last weekend. I wrote my little hand off. So I'm writing longhand and then transcribing and editing as I go. So I have been taking camping trips and like getting offline and just sitting down and writing. And as a creative, one of the tips that I've really picked up on, and it's something that's really worked for me, is doing something as simple as going to the Smoking Gun and spending $3 or $4 or $5 on a coffee makes me sit there and do the work compared to sitting at home and, oh, there's this, there's that. You get squirreled. There's the phone. That's the worst. The only one time I've been pulled away from my work was when somebody I hadn't seen in ages walked into the coffee shop and sat down, and we talked for an hour and a half, and I was like, there goes my writing session. It was a really close friend of mine I hadn't seen in a long time, so it was like, yeah. I wasn't going to kick him out and, off my away from my table and say, hey, buddy, I'm writing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a really easy thing to do is to just, unfortunately, to just put that passion project to the side and say, no, I just don't have time for it. Yes, we do. We absolutely 100% have time for our passion projects. I don't care who you are. You have time that you're spending on your phone that is a waste of time. Don't do it. I'm the worst. You know, you've seen my Facebook feed. I'm the worst culprit. But if you take that time and you say,
Reallocate.
what am I going to do this Saturday? Am I going to spend 3 hours on my phone, or am I going to, take that time, carve that time out, go sit somewhere, get yourself out of your element, go do something separate, like separate from your rest of your life, so you don't fall back into that routine, and do that work. And it is such a boost. Like it's every time my book is getting more and more and more and more and more, and it's lovely.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm loving it so much.
I like Google Tasks. It's a really powerful tool as well. I'm sure there's an Apple version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am old school, and I go to the dollar store and I get a big sheet of the calendars of the month, like the month sheet that you write in.
Yeah.
And I sit there at the beginning of every month and I write in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the month at the top, and I put in all the stuff that I know that I have to do, commitments, date commitments, award ceremonies, talk to Geoff, do this, do that. And then I carve out my time to exercise, and then I carve out my time to write.
Yeah.
And then I wake up in the morning and my calendar tells me what to do while I'm making my coffee.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Well, your creative friends will wish you continued health, Jessica, and
Thank you.
all the best with your book project. And let's show some appreciation. Jessica Peters, everybody.
Thank you.